Why successful men struggle to find the right one. If you're a man who's doing well in your career or your business, you're taking care of your health, doesn't mean it's perfect, but most areas of your life are already well taken care of. But the last missing piece of the puzzle is a fulfilling relationship to the right woman. This video is for you. There's only two problems that are stopping you from finding the right girlfriend or wife. One, you don't have enough quality dates. You may be going on some dates, but not on the dates with the right types of women, or the ones that you actually like lose interest in you. Today, I will teach you what you have to do on a high level to overcome both of those problems so you can make an educated choice and keep the right woman interested in you. The first problem is, if you don't have at least one good quality date every single week, you simply won't have enough of the right options to make an educated choice from. Because if we're talking about a life partner, somebody to share your life with, somebody that you can wake up next to in the morning, travel with, go to the theater with, to the museum, to art exhibitions, to rock climbing, jiu-jitsu, go to the gym with, build a family with, you have to be very compatible. And there's three pillars based on which we evaluate compatibility. Number one is personality. Do your personalities match? Number two is values. They kind of go together because they're the inner value side. Then there's intelligence, and then there's physical attractiveness. All of these matter. Doesn't mean it has to be perfect, but you have to rank high. Ever heard of a scale of 1 to 10? How hot is she on a scale of 1 to 10? Fine, but that's just one of the out of the three pillars. You should give personality and values 10 points, looks 10 points, IQ 10 points. And then on a scale of 0 to 30, how high does she rank? Because yes, you should be really physically attracted to her, but it's better to have somebody who has the same values as you, an absolutely beautiful, loving personality, like my Fernandinha, as opposed to somebody who is super, super hot, but shallow on the inside. Now, again, it's not a false dichotomy either, because men always say, I'm probably either only going to find a woman who's really attractive, but crazy, or a gold digger, or something is off, or I'm going to find somebody that I don't like that physically, but she's actually good. No, that's a false dichotomy. You can get more of the right types of options. How do you do that? There's three ways that you can get dates. Dating apps, Instagram, in-person approaches. That is it. Yes, referrals from friends could be a fourth category, but how often does that really work? Oh, my friend Mary, you should meet her. Really? Mary is what you're going to go for? And I apologize, this is not an insult to all Marys out there, but you get what I'm saying. That rarely is the quality of what you're looking for. So maybe you've tried dating apps in the past, but the conversations fizzle out, or you just don't see the matches that you want. The women that you want to be with, they are on dating apps. Dating apps work if you make them work. If you ever open your dating apps and you realize this is not what I'm looking for, it's because your profile sucks. Your profile has an invisible account score based on which you will see a certain caliber of profiles. Because what's the outcome that these big dating app companies pursue? Make money. How do they do that? Well, they need to grow their client base. How do they do that? They need to satisfy their most important customer, which is women. Obviously, it's always women. Why do women get free entry in nightclubs? Because wherever there's women, men will follow. That's usually how it goes, because most men completely lack options. So they need to make sure women are happy. They need to provide women with a good user experience. How do they do that? They match women with the men that they believe are right for them, and the apps track everything that's happening. One of the things that's being tracked on these dating apps, Hinge, Bumble, Raya, Tinder, is how many women swipe right on your profile. And if your pictures aren't that great, if your prompts aren't that great, if your bio isn't that great, if your profile isn't that great, more women will swipe left on you and your account score goes down, and then your profile won't even be shown to the higher quality options. So build a really, really good profile. The right types of photos, lifestyle, professional photography, social proof, status. You don't need all of them, but the more the better. Make sure your bio is succinct and it stands out. Make sure your prompts are 2/3 fun and lighthearted and 1/3 accurate reflection of your values, so you disqualify the wrong ones. Because remember, this is not just about getting quantity for the sake of quantity. This is not just so you can get laid with as many women as possible. It's you can find the right one. Yes, you're going to kiss a couple of frogs and maybe make love to a couple of frogs along the way. some rather attractive frogs, hopefully. That's part of the process because your wife won't be the next best person you'll go on a date with. But the outcome has to be such that we're disqualifying the ones who aren't aligned with your values. That's very important. Dating apps work. And then you only have to spend 15 minutes a day on dating apps. David, I don't have the time. Nonsense. I have clients who work in investment banking, who run big tech companies, who are doctors, who are just doing anything. Teachers, CEOs, principals, guys who are doing cool shit, who are busy. And if they can find the time, you can as well, my friend. And I've had clients who are 67 years of age and clients who are 20. Most of my clients are 30 to 50 to a little bit more than that. But it doesn't matter where you're at right now as long as you're doing well and you're ambitious. But if they have the time, you do too. If you sleep 8 hours a night, which you probably don't, if you were to sleep 8 hours, which would be good for you, you would still have 112 waking hours available to yourself every single week. 112. How many hours do you work? 60, 70, 80? You still have 32 hours left if you work 80 hours a week. Dating takes 5 to 8, 5 to 10. That's all it takes. Dating apps take 15 minutes per day. It really doesn't take more than that. Because it's not about swiping right 20 times in a day. You may have spent sometimes an hour on dating apps and you didn't really get what you wanted from it because you got hooked on it. But it's not a quantity game, it's really a quality of input game. If your profile is right, then you do it just with Boost, just with premium features. And then you split test Hinge and Bumble and Raya and Tinder. And then one out of those, maybe two are going to deliver 80, 90, Pareto style, % of the results. And then you just narrow down on them and then you run a couple of boosts. Then the apps are going to do most of the work for you. It really does not take more than 15 minutes per day on dating apps to get one really quality date every single week. I did it with a client of mine in London. He's in his 50s recently. Never got great results from Hinge. Within 48 hours, I believe it was, 11 phone numbers from women he was actually really interested in. Let that sink in. You can do that too. Now, is it going to be that many? Maybe a little bit less, but it's absolutely a viable tool. If other men can make it work, you can too. Stop making excuses. Because any reason as to why you haven't found the right girlfriend or wife, or why dating apps don't work, or Instagram or approaches, which we're going to talk about in a second, are lies. You are lying to yourself. Because I'm a ginger and I have vampire teeth. If I can make it work, you can make it work as well. Everybody has some limitations. But are you going to argue for your limitations? If you do, they will become yours. In life, in the end, and you know that in your career or your business or at least one hobby, you will either get the result or you will have an excuse. You cannot have both. And eventually you'll just have to take a leap of faith. Because we as human beings, we always want to have all the answers before we make the jump. But just ask yourself, what has it already cost you not to take action? Not to commit yourself to this process strategically and to just actually get more dates and choose somebody. It cost you divorce in the past. It cost you failed relationships. Years. Really do a calculation of how much money you've actually spent. Hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of thousands. How much money did it actually cost you in productivity? By not feeling as great as you could have felt because you felt a bit lonely or a little bit down. What did it cost you in productivity? What did it cost you in happiness? Your time, the most valuable resource, the only resource you'll never get back. So commit yourself. Start taking some action. Get out there. So dating apps are the first one. They're fantastic. They work. Only 15 minutes a day. By the way, I don't want you to spend more than 15 minutes a day on it because I had a client, he's a dentist in the US, and he spent an hour a day on it. He also went on 4 first new dates a week. But then after a couple of weeks, he comes to me and says, David, I feel a little bit exhausted. Yeah, it's not the dates, by the way, because human interactions, they usually energize us. If they're with the wrong person, and 4 dates a week is completely unnecessary. You don't need that many, right? Maybe there's a fatigue component to that. But basically what happened was his dopamine system was depleted because reward preceded by effort, as Andrew Huberman explains it, boosts testosterone and dopamine. But swiping on dating apps, your brain does not register that as effort. Therefore, your dopamine spikes and then it plummets below baseline. Whenever you get a cheap dopamine high for which you didn't have to put in any work, very, very little, then you get a spike, like coffee or other drugs that I have not tried, but apparently it spikes. And then you get a crash. Same with alcohol. It spikes and then you get a crash. And then you feel a little bit exhausted. Same with swiping on social media. That's why you have to be very mindful. I have a client, he's a managing director for one of the biggest banks in America. And he would swipe an hour a day on dating apps and then spend another hour. He'd work a lot during the day, but then spend an hour a day on Instagram Reels. I mean, that's how he found my content. Amazing. That's why I was able to transform his life. Not transform his life, but his dating and relationship life together with him. And now he's in a super happy relationship. But it also required taking conscious control of his time. So yeah, 15 minutes a day on dating apps is more than enough. Then we have Instagram. Instagram can be used if you have a good profile to send direct messages, very powerful. And now let's talk about in-person approaches. Chances are, sorry, my lips are a little bit dry because I was just in Budapest last weekend and it was 35, 37 degrees, so they dried out a little bit. That's why if you see me touching my lips a little bit painful, but never mind. Approaches are the way in which humanity has procreated forever. Chances are your ideal girlfriend or wife already walked by and you let her go. There's only 2 reasons why you're not introducing yourself to women that you meet. Outside of work, never ever at work, unless you're willing to get fired. Never at work. But be it in Whole Foods, be it in the gym, be it in a shopping mall, if you go to bars, or wherever you happen to be. They exist. Why do you not introduce yourself? Any reason you'll give me is an excuse other than the following 2. Approach anxiety, fear of rejection, nervousness, or you simply don't know how. You don't know how to start the conversation, how to open up conversational hooks, how to create a man-to-woman connection, how to be fun-based, not so logical, how to create emotional spikes and aliveness within her. That's it. It's the nervousness and it's the how-to. Both of those are not an indicator that there's anything wrong with you. Feeling nervousness is completely normal because we as human beings, we grew up in tribes hundreds of thousands of years ago where our brain was shaped predominantly into its current form, where we very much cared about the approval of the people we lived with. Because if we did something like hitting on a random woman who may have been one of the ladies of the tribal leader, we might get murdered in the middle of the night or sent into exile. That's, by the way, where your fear of what people in general think of you comes from. Because if you act too far outside of the previously agreed upon norms within the tribe and you're sent into exile, that meant certain death because you don't have other men to go hunt with. You don't have other men's protection. And then another tribe will kill you. An animal will kill you. Or at the very least, you'll lose the chance to pass on your genes to female members of the tribes. And that would be the end of your bloodline. So we are all descendants of ancestors who had a fear of what other people think of us. So your brain works well if you have a little bit of nervousness. There's nothing wrong with you, but you can progressively desensitize yourself. You've got to get out there. If you're too nervous when it comes to talking to women, you're just talking to women that are too attractive. Yeah, but David, why would I talk to women that I don't find attractive? For the process, motherfucker, step by step. If an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 is too attractive for you, go down to a 2 or 3. Did you watch Lord of the Rings? Remember Gollum? Did you watch Hagrid? Remember Hagrid? Imagine there's a woman who looks like Gollum or Hagrid, subjectively in your opinion. Because apparently beauty standards aren't real. Yeah, right. Of course they are. Let's say there's a woman who looks like Hagrid or Gollum. How nervous would you be? Not at all. Exactly. So just talk to women that aren't that attractive. Be super respectful. Be super nice. Make sure they feel great. And then just use that as a warm-up. You can do that in any situation. Because let me tell you something. How are you going to teach your son anything about dating and relationships someday if you can't even introduce yourself to a woman you find attractive? You have several great qualities as a man already. If you're a father, you're probably a really kind, caring dad already. You're already taking care of so many areas in your life. You're probably already super responsible. Doesn't mean you're perfect. I'm not either. We're all not. You're already doing so great. But would you not want to pass this lesson on to your children someday? Do you not want to teach your daughter how dating and relationships actually work, not just the nonsense that's distributed in society? You can do that, but you have to walk the path first. Because my parents, I love them to death, but they weren't able to teach me this because nobody taught them. So put yourself out there, and also what you will learn during in-person approaches in everyday situations. Don't go to bars. You can go to bars, but not nightclubs. Nightclubs are just silly. You're not going to find your wife in a nightclub, most likely. But if you put yourself out there, what you will learn through these interactions will transfer directly to your performance on the date, which leads me into the next category, your communication. Because if women lose interest in you, it's because of how you communicate. I'll touch on that in a second. But in-person interactions are a cheat code because nobody does it. Nobody does it unless they're drunk or drugged out of their minds at night. If you can actually just start a conversation in person, get her phone number, and go on dates, you will have an infinite level of abundance of options that you can choose the right girlfriend or life partner from. And she will know that you have that level of abundance. And she will appreciate you more. She will respect you more. And most importantly, you will have a knowing that you don't need her. Because in society, we confuse love with neediness. I need you. I'll never be able to live without you. And while I feel like that with my baby, oftentimes, of course, in the moment, while I feel like that, of course, I rationally know that I would be okay if it were to end for some reason. Do I want it to end? No. Are we going to be together forever? Yes, that's the aim, of course. But let's say she dies. What are you going to do then? With my ex-wife, I had fear and panic and anxiety to the level that I married her. I had a panic attack the day after the wedding because I was with somebody who wasn't right for me. She's not a bad person, but she's not right for me. Guys, can we turn the AC off, please? I think it'll be better for the mic. Thank you so much. I was with somebody who just wasn't good for me. And she's not a bad person. We simply weren't compatible, but I wasn't able to communicate my needs. I was so afraid of losing her. I'll never find someone like her. And then I stayed in it way too long after I realized that I shouldn't be in it because I didn't want to hurt her. Until I met my mentor working for a Salesforce. And my whole story is explained in a different video here. No need to go into that right now. But I had a deep-seated fear of loss. I don't want you to come from loss. In spirituality, there's this idea that there's only two emotions. There's love and there's fear. There's abundance or scarcity. And if you come from true love is abundant. True love has nothing to do with neediness. True love means I want you, but I don't need you. These are the three channels. You can use one of them. You can use all of them. The more you use, the more quality options you'll get, and the higher the probability that you'll find somebody you're truly compatible with, because the number one criteria for success in a relationship is, without a doubt, compatibility. That's one. Now let's look at what happens when women lose interest in you. If she meets you for a date and you think, I had a great date, but then she either ghosts me, the responses get shorter. She tells me she didn't really feel the spark, we're better off as friends, I need to focus on my career. It's all nonsense. She's actually being kind and I'm not blaming her. You just fucked it up on the date because you have blind spots in your communication. Maybe you're too logical, maybe you're too serious, maybe you're too stiff, maybe you're not carefree enough in your expression, maybe your storytelling sucks. Again, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just a skill set that you can develop. But take these points into consideration that I've given you. I have 100 hours of free content on YouTube, thousands of free short form videos. I have a coaching program that you can and should join if you want to. If you want to find the right girlfriend or wife, click the link below this video right now. Do apply for a free initial consultation. It will change your life absolutely, beyond a doubt, in this area. Not that your life needs changing in a lot of areas, but in this area, maybe it does. Unless you want to keep repeating the same cycle of either not having enough dates at all, or getting into relationships with the wrong women and then wasting months or even years of your life. So there's resources out there. You just got to commit yourself and understand that if you change the way you communicate on the date, you will be able to create attraction and you will be able to create enough connection for her to stay truly attracted to you. She already met you for a date. What's the variable? The words that come out of your mouth and your nonverbal or pre-verbal communication. Little note on confidence. Confidence really matters. There's 4 sources. Competence, getting good at the skill of dating, which you can learn. Managing your mental and emotional state, because confidence is something you can learn to turn on without any substance. I don't drink, no drugs, I don't even drink coffee. You can learn to turn that on. But I've been going to personal development seminars for 15 years. I've coached hundreds of clients from all around the world, from 40 different countries. I've learned from one of the best psychologists in Germany. I'm not a psychologist, but I was still able to learn from him a lot. I committed myself to that. And I'm telling you, there are tools and strategies out there that you can find to turn confidence on whenever, wherever you need to. Be that in a business meeting, no matter who's sitting in front of you. Be that on a date, no matter how attractive she may be. And attractive inside out, by the way. The third component is osmosis. Change your environment. If you spend time with men who are truly confident, not in a fake way, not in a way where they're pretending to be too cool for school or not relatable, or in a weird dominant way where they're trying to dominate her. Not in that way. But in a genuinely, authentically confident way where they're able to have a loving relationship on eye level and be truly masculine still. I don't know why this was the signification of masculine. This is not masculine. Masculine is love. Osmosis really matters. Change your environment and you'll change your reality. And then the last one is beliefs. What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about dating apps? What do you believe about women in the US or women in the UK? Your beliefs dictate your actions dictate your results. The number one thing that I help clients with, or you through these videos, is changing your thoughts. Mindset is just a fancy way for consciously or unconsciously held thoughts that dictate your actions, that dictate your results. All of the results you have in your dating and your relationship right now, in your dating and your relationship life right now, you have chosen. If you're single, it's because you're choosing it. Because you haven't taken the right actions. Change your actions on dating apps, in-person interactions, on Instagram, on the date itself, and you'll be able to get greatly different results. You'll be able to do that. Absolutely, without a doubt, without being perfect, with red hair, with vampire teeth, whatever your particular excuse may be. I'm not even that tall. I'm like 5'11". So people think, hey, I'm not that tall either, right? I've plenty of friends who are none of that matters. It really doesn't. Thoughts, beliefs, and convictions, it's the same thing, just a different level of certainty associated with it. A thought, fleeting, you're not that bought in. A belief, you have some level of certainty with it. And a conviction, you're absolutely certain that it's true. And here's where men get stuck. We question anything in life, except for the things we truly believe. Those we just believe. And then we don't use dating apps. We don't approach in person. We don't change a couple of very simple things about how we actually talk on the date. And then we rob ourselves of the most fulfilling experience life could ever offer, which is a relationship. When we're meant to be in a relationship. The biggest nonsense that is propagated in society is the idea that you have to learn to be okay by yourself. That's a lie. That lie is responsible for millions of men suffering because we have a deep-seated need for love and connection that must be met. Yes, you have to be okay by yourself when you're walking from home to the gym because you've acted in congruence with your values and you're doing the things that are right. And you're not cheating yourself, and you're a man of your word, and you're not snaking other people. Yes, 100%, that's absolutely true. But you're not meant to be alone. Biologically, we're not. When we spent time in our tribe, hundreds of thousands of years ago, we had 100 to 200 people around us 24/7. I'm not feeling that great. How many hours did you spend in the last 2 weeks in quality social contact? Big one. Spend more time in quality social contact and you will feel better. Quality male friends. Go on dates as an ambulance. Otherwise, you'll end up in there. Hopefully not. Commit yourself to going out there. I know you have a busy schedule. We all have a busy schedule. Achievers have a busy schedule. Fernando and I were driving to get steak in the supermarket right now, and I still find a way to film this. Great, right? Net. No extra time. How can you compress and combine tasks? Online dating, you can do that while you're sitting on the toilet. Literally, no extra time. You have the time. Commit yourself. Otherwise, you deserve to stay single. If you want me to help you personally, click the link below. Apply for a free initial consultation. There is so much happiness waiting for you. Talk soon.